Sunday. In the morning, I retraced my steps along an almost deserted high street, and after stopping at the cafe corner for a classic English breakfast, I reached the promenade by the sea at about 10 o'clock. This time, I turned left on the promenade. Rolling dark rain clouds menacingly roam over the sea. They threaten to unleash their contents and drown the sky's bands of reddish yellow, as well as obliterate the patches of grey-blue cloud below. Periodically, the sun breaks through and deposits a streak of radiant, intense light on the horizon. Half an hour later, after meandering along the promenade, I notice a shipping container either on its way to or from the port. It passes through a wedge of the sun's dappled and reflected brilliance. Wailing seagulls circle overhead. Even though I look out to the open North Sea and observe a freighter headed for some distant corner of the globe, I do not experience the sense of expansiveness or vastness I had felt while in Great Yarmouth. The cliffs, looming behind me, break the illusion by limiting my vision so that I feel slightly confined and cannot imagine being beyond where I am. The formal gardens built into the cliffs with their carefully planned, incarcerated beds of plants contribute to this sense of restraint. I miss the open, wilder shores of last weekend. After eating lunch at the Clifftop Cafe, I amble along the promenade a little further so as to gaze at the cliffs. Their jagged, crumbling profile reveals their mortality. The sea, as elsewhere along this coast, gives and takes. I cannot stay long, for I need to catch my train. I start my trek back to my hotel. At the top of the high street, a Salvation Army band gathers in a circle under a gazebo. It's starting to rain. The brass instruments and the bass drum pound out a stirring march, and with conviction play, "What a friend we have in Jesus. Crown him with many crowns, and I'll not turn back," while a pacing Salvation Army sergeant furtively consults his sermon printed on limp paper blowing in the wind. Only a handful of people stand and watch. A white-haired lady in a wheelchair claps her hands to the beat of the music. It's time to return to the train station, at least what's left of it. The main, once ornate railroad station, built in 1898, is presently a rather cheerless, forsaken shopping center. All that remains is one truncated platform perched at the end of one of the original platforms. Almost alone in the rain, I stand on this remnant, anxiously waiting for my train to arrive. When Felixstowe was a lively seaside destination, there used not only to be 20 trains a day, but also additional stations, one at Felixstowe Beach and another at Felixstowe Pier, the docks. The beach railway station, deemed unsafe, ceased running in 1959 and was demolished in 2004. The pier station closed in 1951. The train arrives, and I, with some relief, sit with another passenger and his 2 dogs. One of the dogs, a dachshund, contentedly sits on the table between the seats. The rest of the carriage is empty. When the train slowly leaves the station, I wonder what it is I am leaving. I sense that I have just spent 2 days in a world of remainders and change. From my superficial vantage point, I seem to have been surrounded by shops selling the abandoned leftovers of another time. Furthermore, I have walked in grand areas that are now sadly diminished. The abridged Felixstowe Pier and the reduced platform at the railroad station. I have looked up at clay cliffs that like ashes crumbled under the presence of a sea that is hungrier than death. And I have gazed at buildings that suffer from neglect. Pockets of former splendor are still visible. The shifts in circumstance, war, and commerce have depleted what was formerly a lively, festive, and splendid place. No longer can boys earn extra pence by offering Edwardian children cart rides pulled by goats. Now the wealth and the activity are either elsewhere or confined behind the steel fences guarding the global import and export business of the freighters. The persistent generosity and optimism of the Salvation Army are not enough to combat this reality, no matter how loudly the band plays. The shifting clouds sweeping and swirling above Felixstowe and the evening glow of the sinking sun upon the North Sea, however, remain and are still magnificent. They, just as the sounds and sights of the breaking waves, offer a kind of reassuring antidote to what appears to be a dismal state of affairs. Oh, think of those moments when home you return. Indeed I do. I'm glad I came. The weekend in Felixstowe was more than interesting enough. The college porter was not entirely right.